Hello, dear student. Today's chapter is Human Health and Disease. Now we are facing COVID-19 pandemic. Whole world is facing these problems, and therefore we are more cautious about our health. Then, what is meant by health? Health does not simply means absence of disease or physical fitness. That means healthy persons means absence of disease or physical fitness. These are the concept, old concept. But according to WHO, World Health Organization, health is defined as the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Infirmity means तिला व्यंग निर्माण होणं असं म्हटलं जातं. In short, health is birthright of humans. That is one of the right which comes with birth. Health also reflects the metabolic functional efficiency of living organism. In healthy persons, both these activities, metabolic as well as functional activities, they are effectively working. While in diseased persons or those who are not healthy, in this there are some problems in their metabolic or other functions. To achieve good health, it is therefore necessary that we have hygiene balanced diet, clean drinking water, personal and community hygiene, regular physical exercise, knowledge about disease and their effect on body, proper disposal of waste and control of vectors. And what is the vectors? We can know mosquito. It is well known of vectors. That mosquito transfers plasmodium, that is malarial parasites. There are so many types of vectors, and therefore we know the control of vectors. Every day we are exposed to various foreign bodies, including infectious agents like bacteria, viruses, fungi, etc. Though these we are continuously exposed to variety of these pathogens, most of us remains healthy. This is due to fact that human body has ability to resist all types of these foreign bodies, including COVID-19 virus also. The system which protect us from various infectious agents is called immune system. This is one of the major systems of our body which fight against these pathogens and the chemicals which are produced by these pathogens. What are pathogens? Pathogens means these are the organisms or any substances which causes disease, that is known as pathogen. Resistance is the ability to prevent the damage of disease through our defense mechanism. Then what is meant by immunity? The term immunity has traditionally referred to as the resistance exhibited by the host toward injury caused by pathogens and their product. Here host means any organism, for example human being, and the pathogens, these are the organisms, they may be bacteria, viruses, fungus. However, protection against infectious disease is only one of the many consequences of immune system or immune response, which is entirely concerned with the reaction of the body against any foreign antigen. Here, what is meant by antigens? Antigens means these are the organism which causes disease, that is known as antigens, or the product which are produced by this organism, they are also known as antigens. Immunity is the fact, the freedom from disease. The concept of immunity is believed to be first started by Edward Jenner in England. He developed cowpox vaccine for the protection against attacks of smallpox. The smallpox, that is one of the contagious as well as epidemic disease, and therefore during these periods, this Edward Jenner, they produced the first vaccines against this disease. The branch of biology which deals with the study of immune system is known as immunology. Their role in resisting infections by pathogen. The most important characteristics of immune system is that it can distinguish between self and non-self. That means own body cells and foreign cells, or foreign invading cells or foreign molecules. So the immune system differentiates between the body cells and the invaders. Any foreign substances invading body and capable of stimulating an immune response is called as antigen. The protective chemical produced by immune cells is response to antigens are called antibodies. Here there are two terms, antigens and antibodies. Simply antigens means these are the microorganisms which invade in our body or enter in our body, or the chemicals which are produced by these microorganisms, that is simply known as antigens, and the response given by our body or body cells to these microorganisms or the chemicals which are produced by these microorganisms are known as antibodies. Then types of immunity. There are two main types of immunity, as innate or inborn immunity, and the second one is known as acquired immunity or adaptive immunity. Innate or inborn immunity, which is inherited, that means these are given to young ones by their parents. Inherited means हा वारसा मिळाला असतो from parents to their offsprings. Therefore, it is also known as inborn. Then again, innate immunity or inborn immunity is the resistance to infections that an individual possesses by various microorganisms. It is the natural defense system of body which develops in the organisms day by day. It is not affected by prior contact with microorganism or immunization. It is non-specific, that means it can recognize wide varieties of microorganisms. Therefore, it is known as non-specific. When it indicates a degree of resistance to infection in general, or specific where resistance to a particular pathogen is concerned. One form of innate immunity comprises the various types of barriers which prevent entry of foreign antigens into barrier. Innate immunity is work in the form of various barriers that create some barriers, and these barriers prevent or check the entry of microorganism within our body. One of them is epithelial surface. Our body is covered by a membranes, and these membranes, they are made up of epithelial cells. The intact skin and mucus covering the body protect it considerably against invasion of microorganisms. If our body is intact, that means our skin is intact, if there is no any scratches, no microorganism can enter in our body. Though we have some body orifice means body opening, for example nose, mouth, anus, genital, these are the body openings. Through these body openings microorganism can enter, but in this body opening there are mucus producing cells, and these mucus producing cells, they trap these microorganisms. The healthy skin possesses bactericidal activity due to the presence of high concentration of salt in drying sweat. The sebaceous glands which are present beneath our skin, this sebaceous gland secretes its secretions, and long chain of fatty acids have bactericidal and fungicidal properties. This epithelial surface or the skin itself acts as a barrier which prevents the entry of microorganisms, because due to its activity of bactericidal and fungicidal properties. The mucosa of the respiratory tract have several innate mechanism of defense. The nose prevent entry of microorganism to a large extent because the nose that is continuously exposed to external environment. The inhaled particles being arrested through hairs at near the nasal orifice. Those that pass beyond these are held by mucous lining, the epithelium, and are sent back to pharynx where they tend to swallowed or cupped out. Most of the particles they are trapped by the hairs in our nasal cavity. Though some particles they enter, they are trapped by mucus and they are the mucus then it is swallowed and it is expelled out. The cuff reflex is an important defense mechanism of respiratory tract. The mouth is constantly bathed in saliva, which has inhibitory effect on microorganisms. The acidity of gastric secretion in stomach destroy microorganism. The flushing action of urine eliminates bacteria from the urethra. Here we can see the nose, that is a body opening, mouth that is body opening, genital that is body opening. Then spermins and zinc present in semens are antibacterial. And therefore, though these body openings they are opens, microorganism enter, but we cannot face to any disease because this microorganism they are trapped or either killed. Then the another barriers is in the form of antimicrobial substances in blood and tissue. In our blood, there are more than 30 serum proteins which are circulating in blood in an inactive state. The presence of microbial pathogens activate the complement cascade to eliminate these pathogens. The interferons are a class of cytokinins. These are the soluble proteins released by virtually various types of cells infected with viruses and certain white blood cells to stimulate other cells to protect themselves from viral infections. Then the third barriers is in the form of cellular factors in innate immunity. Natural defense against the invasions of bloods and tissue by microorganism and other foreign particle is mediated to large extent by phagocytic cells, which ingest and destroy them. In our body, we have seen in blood, in white blood corpuscles, there are 5 types of cells. Out of these neutrophils, they are phagocytic in nature. When any microorganism enter in body, when they enter in bloods, these microorganisms they are engulfed by these neutrophils and they are destroyed. And therefore, when we get infected, at that times our count WBC count increases. The increase in WBC count that is directly related to the infections. Again, there is increase in neutrophils because these neutrophils they destroy this. These phagocytic cells are grouped as microphagous and macrophagus. They remove foreign particles that enter the body. A class of lymphocytes called natural killer cell is important in non-specific defense against viral infections and tumors. Then the next one, that is fever. Increase in body temperature following the infection is natural defense mechanism. Fever is one of the defensing mechanism of body. When we face to any attack of microorganism or pathogens, when these pathogens or microorganism enter in our body, at that time our body automatically increase its temperature. And in this temperature, these microorganisms either they are killed or they inhibit their activities. It helps to accelerate the physiological process to destroy the invading pathogens. Fever stimulates the production of interferon and helps in recovery from viral infection. And therefore, the fever, that is the first sign of infections. Body itself fight against these microorganisms. Then the fifth one, that is acute phase protein or APP. Infection on injury leads to a sudden increase in concentration of certain plasma protein, collectively called acute phase protein. These include C-reactive protein, mannose binding protein, alpha 1 acid glycoprotein, serum amyloid P, etc. Acute phase proteins are believed to enhance host resistance. Host means we. Prevent tissue injury and promote repair of inflammatory lesions, that inflammatory parts. Here, this innate or inborn immunity is worked in these 5 ways: with the help of epithelial surface, that intact skin, antimicrobial substances in bloods and tissues, then cellular factors, then fevers and acute phase protein. Then second type of immunity is acquired immunity. The resistance that an individual acquires during life is known as acquired immunity. That means this immunity is acquired after birth up to death. It is also known as adaptive or specific immunity. This immunity is specific for specific microorganisms, and we achieve this immunity in various ways. It involves the formation of antibodies in body which neutralize the antigens. Acquired or adaptive immunity has some major features. These are specificity, diversity, discrimination between self and non-self, and memory. These are the 4 features of acquired immunity: specificity, diversity, discrimination between self and non-self, and memory. What is the specificity? It can produce specific antibody or T lymphocyte against a particular antigen or pathogen, and therefore acquired immunity is known as specific immunity. Then second, diversity. It can recognize a vast variety of diverse pathogens or foreign molecules. Third, discrimination between self and non-self. That means it can distinguish between which are body cells and which are non-body cells. It differentiates between own body cells, that is self, and foreign non-self molecules. Sometimes in some persons there is autoimmune disease. What happens in autoimmune disease? In these organisms, their immune system cannot distinguish between self and non-selves, and therefore it attacks its own cell, and this is a disease they are known as autoimmune disease. But generally our body can distinguish between self and non-self. Then the fourth features of acquired immunity, that is memory. When the immune system encounter a specific foreign agents for the first time, it generates an immune response and eliminates the invader. And therefore, in newborn babies, when they first encounter to common cold, that common cold, the first common cold in that baby can produce so many types of symptoms. When that common cold get recovers in that baby, When that baby again get encountered the viruses of common cold, the intensity of common cold is less because the, during the first encounter of common cold, there is a memorization of these viruses, and therefore, this memory is one of the greatest feature of acquired immunity. The immune system retains the memory of the first encounter. As a result, a second encounter with same pathogen brings about quicker and stronger immune response. Then there are types of acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is of two types. It works in two ways, actively and passive. First, that is active immunity. What happens in active immunity? It is the resistance developed by individuals as a result of an antigen stimulus. It is also known as adaptive immunity. Active immunity may be again natural and artificial. In natural acquired active immunity, immunity acquired due to infection, that is called natural active immunity. It is developed after entry of pathogen in the body. After the birth, we face to various types of microorganisms, and when we face to microorganisms, then and then there is memorizations, there is formations of antibodies in our body, and these antibodies they face to when we get again encounter to that particular types of microorganism. Here the example for natural acquired active immunity is measles. A person who has recovered from attack of measles develop natural acquired active immunity to measles for lifetime. That means when any persons get first encounter to measles, then in their whole life he cannot again get encounter to measles because there is formation of antibodies for measles in his body, and when we get again encounter to measles, these antibodies which are prepared in first time, these antibodies fight to this microorganism. Then second types of active immunity, that is artificial acquired active immunity. It is the resistance induced by vaccines. We have seen Edward Jenner, that is the father of vaccine. He developed first vaccine again, cowpox. Vaccine is introduced in the body to stimulate the formation of antibodies by immune system. For example, polio vaccine, BCG vaccine, etc. India is totally free from polio as well as smallpox because due to a campaign which is held by national government from so many years, and therefore we are free from cowpox, then polio. We are polio and cowpox countries. From birth to 15 years, we get so many types of vaccines. Some vaccines they are compulsory, and some vaccines they are non-compulsory. And these vaccines they protect us from various types of microorganisms. And therefore, vaccines are the artificial acquired active immunity because these vaccines, when they are injected in our body, these are the microorganisms which are attenuated. That means their power of invasion or power of pathogenicity is lowered, and therefore when these microorganisms enter either in the form of killed, semi-killed or live in our body, they develop antibodies, and these antibodies they fights when we get encountered by same types of microorganism again. Then second type is passive immunity. Passive immunity is acquired when ready-made antibodies are received by the body cells. That is, body cells do not take any active part in production of immunity. Passive immunity can be acquired either naturally as well as artificially. First, natural acquired passive immunity, example colostrum. Before birth, maternal antibodies are transferred from mother to fetus through placenta. And after birth, antibodies are transferred from mother to infant through colostrum. What is a colostrum? Colostrum is the first milk of mother. That first milk has so many types of ready-made antibodies which protect these infant in next forthcoming years up to when their own immunity is developed. The antibodies received by baby from mother remains in body for a short times, and therefore natural acquired passive immunity is short-lived. Then second type, that is artificially acquired passive immunity. This immunity is developed by injecting previously prepared antibodies using serum from humans or animals. For example, antibodies obtained from hyperimmunized horse are injected to humans against rabies pathogens. It is also short-lived. In this way, this acquired immunity is either active or passive. Again, in active, there is natural and artificial. Again, in passive, there is natural, and in this way, we have seen immunity, types of immunity, how it works, because nowadays it's have a crucial roles. Whole world knows the importance of immunity, how to boost immunity, etc. Okay.